right. I think we're back.
Yeah, we are back.
We
Hello
are back,
and
yes.
welcome, everyone. Truth, Beer, and Podsequences, point 5. So point 5 is where we just have an offshoot, a tangent of our typical show. We just wrapped up our live show at BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery. And, Shout out to our podcast host, BC's Bottle Lodge, Montgomery, and thank you everyone who came out for that. Thank you everyone who's going to listen to it. So point 5, we wanted to take a few minutes and talk with the Gnarly Gnome.
The king of Cincinnati Craft Beer Podcasts.
Yeah.
No pressure.
I messed up and didn't make a show this week.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, we're not going to call it messed up. You
That's
can
not what
say
that's
you
not what we're
messed up.
doing.
It's your show. But
I failed you guys.
No, it's no failure. You're here.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you being in attendance. And everybody here, I think, knows, and I know the Gnome knows, that without the work that he's done in Cincinnati Craft Beer,
That's not true. Podcasts would exist with or without me.
Not true.
You're right. Podcasts would exist.
Our podcast would not have existed.
No, it would. It would just wouldn't talk about my show.
The
because my show
Podfather. Holy hell. The Podfather. No, it wouldn't have. I mean, and did I listen to any podcasts before yours? No, I didn't.
Because there weren't any Cincinnati beer podcasts.
Well,
before
maybe
me.
that's true.
But that's you know. It would still exist without me. I'm not going to take credit for anything that has happened after we started our show. We just happened to start our show when we did.
Well, we appreciate your show, the effort you put into it, also the help and assistance that you gave to us, and from the feedback from everybody that we've talked to, everybody that's in the Cincinnati podcast community. So thank you for that.
How fun is that, though, that there is a Cincinnati, not just Cincinnati podcast community, but a Cincinnati beer podcast community.
That's pretty
Hell yeah.
crazy.
That is the
pretty
coolest
crazy.
thing in the world. And
I love it.
I think back to when we started Cincy Brewcast and how just lost we were about what is a podcast? How do we make a podcast? How do we actually get this into people's phones and stuff? And you look at it now to this community that has happened around it, and it just it feels so good. It's so fun to watch. I love it. I love it so much.
And it is a true community. You can ask any of the other podcasts, Cincinnati podcasts, or beer or otherwise,
Sure,
for help, or hey, have you ever run into this issue with your equipment or with a guest or with anything? And everyone is so willing to jump in and help and try to make your podcast as good as it can be. There's no selfishness with anyone that we had on our main show tonight, or anyone in the podcast Cincinnati podcasting community that we've ever interacted with, and I love that.
But when I've been going through a lot of really crazy stuff in my life in the last year or two, and
Understatement of the year.
There comes a point where this idea of competition and trying to climb some kind of ladder, trying to battle for some kind of number one spot in something, it all just when you really take a step back and look at it, it doesn't make any sense anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's craft beer has always kind of been that way, to where the rising ships raise all tides, and it's like that with podcasts too. That's a joke for anybody that doesn't.
Yes.
Sonder stories.
Shout out to Danny. Thank you for being here earlier. Shout out to Danny.
And it's like that in the podcasting community too. There isn't a number of podcasts that can exist before somebody else's podcast isn't important anymore. And the more that exist, the better this community gets, the better the information gets, the better this whole thing becomes. And I think I embrace that and understand that more today than I ever have in my life. And there's nothing that I want to be a part of anymore that isn't part of that mindset, I guess.
And that ties in really well to our podcast, because when I was explaining the concept of recapping other beer podcasts as a podcast, I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, also, they listen to your show and not anyone else's. And I'm like, no, that's not what we want to do. Our our idea for this is to try to drive traffic to everyone else's show.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
want to recap them because we love talking about the shows we listen to.
Sure.
But we want to have fun with it and make people wonder, okay, did they really say that? Did they really do that? They're not giving me the whole story. They left me with a cliffhanger. I want to listen to that podcast, and hopefully they listen to Saunders Story, Shift Beers, the Outcast podcast, whatever it may be, and go, this is a
maybe
really
not Shift
awesome
Beers.
show. Well, maybe not Shift Beers. That's a little, that is definitely a niche.
Hey.
Josh resembles that statement. So, but it's something that we hope that people who maybe somehow stumble upon our show before any of your shows will listen and be like, this is a really cool show. I love what Cincy Brewcast is. I love what Craft Parenting Podcast is. And they subscribe to those shows because you're putting out the meat and potatoes of what we talk about. We just give you, the side dish. If you want to know what's really going on,
Yeah,
we're hoping to be paying that forward to you guys as much as we can.
You guys do something really important that we don't really talk about, and this is probably way too serious for how this night has gone so far with blocks. I'm not gonna, but
Still
you guys,
enjoying mine.
talking about this community of Cincinnati beer podcasting, and I know that not all of the podcasts are beer podcasts, but you guys provide this hub where all of it can kind of come together and circle around something, and I think that is. Not only is that really important now, but it's going to become really, really important as this just keeps growing and keeps evolving, and more podcasts pop up, and more people that just want to talk about their experience with Cincinnati beer. Like it can keep growing a lot.
Yeah, I made the joke in a couple of our really early episodes that we're going to be the Cincinnati Craft Beer Podcast aggregation destination.
Yeah.
You come to us for like the little bits and then kind of go over from there. Kind of half as a joke, half serious, but the more that we're finding the individual episodes, like the Jungle Gyms International podcast that does an episode here and there about their beer.
Just
We
you
would
got
never-
a tub full of chili.
I
Did you see it?
I
It's
did. That's gross.
Disgusting.
No.
Love you, Mark,
No.
but that was gross.
That was
Ugh.
not good, not cool at all. But yeah, I mean, these are shows and individual episodes of shows that we may never have known existed if it wasn't for this platform that
Right.
we're now existing on. And even though we joke, we hope that not all these podcasts ever put out one episode a piece in a week, because my God, we'd have 12, 15.
I'm doing my part to help
Plus.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
If it looks like it's going to be too crowded of a week, I just
Well,
take it.
it would be quite a bit. And the other
Yeah,
thing is
it'd be
too
cool.
is that
We'd figure it
some
out.
of them, like, I mean, Matt Damaris could
Yeah.
just decide to hit us with 3 hustle and brews in 1 week. I
Yeah,
mean, just
yeah.
like, ruin the space-time continuum or something. And it's like but we welcome that, and we welcome the opportunity to have to navigate talking about all of it. And of course, we talked in our a New Year's episode. Was it New Year's or the one after where we did a remote show testing
That was New
equipment?
Year's. Yeah, that was New Year's.
That was New Year's. So we did a remote show testing equipment where we did shuffle around some things. We do have sort of a hard stop on what we're going to cover on a Tuesday when something comes out. But I welcome that. I want everybody to produce, all the content that they can, and I look forward to covering all the content that we can. And I think I'm always looking to do better, to not just cover the show, but cover the show in the way that we actually intend to cover the show, which is to leave you with those things that maybe you question yourself about. And I don't,
Right.
I don't think we have mastered giving the question mark, and I love every week trying to come up with
What question marks to leave?
right.
Yeah.
What question marks to
Well,
leave?
that's the brilliance of this whole podcasting thing is nobody ever masters this. Like it's all this. It's an evolution week after week after week, and you're trying to sound better, and you're trying to get your point across better. You're trying to interview better. In my case, you're trying to do things better every single time you make a show, and it becomes addicting. Like just trying to just keep improving that and keep being better than you were the week before. It's the fun of creation. Like you can't master it.
No,
So-
and you're right, and it's not. I think it's more of, from my perspective. I'm not going to speak for Julia. From my perspective, it's more of listening to the shows and trying to find the spots, the bits where, okay, this is a spot, this is a bit, this is a thing, this is a tangent, and whereas casually listening and then just coming together and spouting off about it it's all well and good, but the intent of the show is to have, at least for each show, a little bit of a tidbit that is strange off to those that know. And to those that don't know, they don't know, and that's delicious.
That's the balancing act.
I've listened to your show before. And
Really?
you
Thank
guys,
you.
Really?
Yeah, like
Thank
twice.
you.
And you guys.
Thank you.
Both
you
of them
guys-
episodes that he was on. So he was like,
were-
"How did I
I
sound
could
on
die.
this?"
You guys
Oh my
will,
God.
You guys will say something about my show, and I'm like, did I really say that? And I have to go back and I have to re-listen to my show to double check and see what I actually said and what was actually meant by what I said. That's fun.
Great.
That's fun.
That's great.
So if we could talk a little bit, kind of
About cheese? I love cheese.
Oh, cheese. What's your favorite cheese?
Smoked
yes.
Swiss.
Ooh, not bad.
That's not
I'm out.
what you wanted to talk
Not-
about, was it?
Yeah, I'm out.
I mean,
no,
yeah,
but
Marco's out,
so
but-
after
I'm in. I'm in for cheese talk. Marco can't do it, but you know that's sorry, man.
So, I mean, after the move to Hamilton, and then after you quit your full-time job, and you're full-on gnome. So you did throw out a teaser, and I'm willing to let you have this platform to expand on that teaser. You said prior to the Weekly Pint that you were going to give us an update on your life and the way it was
yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And
The
the
Weekly
Weekly
Pint
Pint
didn't end up the way it was supposed to.
The Weekly Pint
It was
started,
fine.
and it had
Shout
some.
out to Spectrum and horrible internet.
It had some challenges, although I mean we did participate. We were,
Yeah, you guys were there.
It happened, but it was, yeah. There were some challenges which usually don't happen.
But not every
Are
show
you-
or everything
are
has
you-
to be
Matt?
perfect.
Okay.
Head out. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
being
so
here,
much,
man.
Matt. Matt Damaris exiting the building.
The hustler.
Hey, Hustle and Brews.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Get home
Take
safe.
care, Matt. See you
Tell
soon.
Chanel I say hi.
Me too.
Hell yeah. The hat.
Every girl's crazy about a sharp dressing man.
And the door closes quietly behind him.
Just want to say ZZ Top. I mean, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Well deserved. I mean, just hell yeah. Anyways,
Anyway,
you ain't playing pinball.
no.
What are you playing
No.
pinball?
No
No.
dryers in this establishment.
So you were gonna give us an update on, the whole scenario.
Yeah.
I think it sounded like.
Yeah,
Like you have this forum. You can go as shallow or as deep
This
as
is
you
a
want.
very different venue than me sitting in my basement with a beer, like with the quiet and the
Well, but is it better or worse? Like,
That's
is it a solo thing or is it a shared thing? Because when you're solo in your basement, you're sharing it with everyone that's listening. You're here with friends,
right, but it's still very.
so you can save it.
No, so like
I mean,
you
do
can
you-
save
complicated.
it. It's fine.
It's
if you want
complicated,
Josh
so-
to play the pinball machine to feel
I
like the
don't want Josh
dryers
to
are
play
running
the
in the
pinball
background,
machine.
we can do that and make you feel like you're in
But
the
he
basement.
sure plays a mean pinball.
It's a very weird. Is it better or is it worse? It's yes, it is better and it is worse. Like there are weeks like this where stress is higher than it's ever been in my life trying to pay bills. Like I don't have an income anymore. Like I'm trying to every day. I'm trying to hustle.
Hustle, baby.
I'm hustling.
Hustler, baby.
There we go.
That is tough as a person with kids and with a wife and with a mortgage and car payments and all kinds of crap going on. it's tough. At the same time, I'm happier about that than I've ever been. Like, it is really, really, really strange, and it's hard, and it's there's those days where you come home and I got to sit down with my wife and be like, all right, here's how much money's coming in this week. We got to figure that out, and like it's a real difficult conversation and a difficult balance in our life. And then there's those weeks where I'm like, man, I quit my job where I had time to make a podcast and to make a video and to come home and still eat dinner with my kids, and that was working. And then now there's weeks where something has to give, and sometimes I'm not making a podcast, or I'm not eating dinner with my kids because I have to go do something to generate some kind of income. Because it's complicated. It's a very big kind of conversation.
Right.
Well, I'm sure that being an entrepreneur in this way is going to have those ups and downs, ebbs and flows, and it takes a strong stomach, to get through that. And stomach, I mean, in the sense of
it's more of a stubbornness. Like there isn't another way, especially now that I've taken that step and I see what it is and how it feels. Like that this is the way. This is it. It isn't. There is no other option. But there are those days where it is it's tough. It's miserable. Today's not one of those days. Today's fine. I think I made $7 today, so I'm good.
Woo! Nice. High
all
roller,
right,
man.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah, high roller.
Shout out to the.
How much are these beers? Oh shit! Yeah, we're in the black again.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for being real, and you've always have been. But I know this was a real, huge step that you were taking for your passion, your business, your career, your future, and I truly hope that as the weeks and the months and the years go by, you get out of it what you were looking to get.
It will be fine. It just it's a slow build, and it's like I said, it's complicated. I wish I would have done this 25 years ago, and I don't know how many young people listen to this show, but like.
I mean, I think everyone that listens is younger than us.
We got John Lee here.
We got
John Lee,
whatever that thing is.
First guest of the show, young listener, and then of course Julia, very young as well, and then I am not. But anyway, I mean, the fact that you're communicating the experience, I think, is great for the platform, and also great for anybody who's interested. I'm excited, and I'm excited to see how this goes for you, because I've said it before, you're not just a friend of the show, you're a friend of ours, and so we want nothing but the best for you, your family, this passion, this way forward. So I truly hope that you get what your vision was out of this.
Well, that's what's so weird about it, is that, like, what I get out of it, like, I already have. Like, it's like that's what I feel better than I've ever felt before. This is how I should be spending every minute of my days. Like, it's there. But the complication is the other side. You still got to pay bills.
Yeah. So is the focus of Gnome Creative more any type of content creation? I know that our platform
right
isn't
now
like a huge flat.
Right now, it's any type of content
Good
creation.
freaking Lord! I had
Good?
beers. I had a
Good?
beer and a block.
Julia?
I'm working on it. It's fine. It's fine.
Long-term,
Mispronunciations.
long term, I anticipate that the majority of the content creation that I enjoy doing more than anything else is around, obviously, beer, wine, liquor, things like that. Drinking. I like drinking. That's,
right. Well, just
that's
like
the
Hell
majority
yeah.
of that's the majority of the content creation that I want to do. But
Right.
shorter term, no, it's anything.
Okay. Well,
If you need me to
whatever we
create
can
things,
do
I will
to.
create things. If you need me to knit you a sweater, I will knit you a sweater.
Nice. There,
John
there
said
you
he
go.
wants
Got to learn
sweater.
how to knit.
It might take a while, but that commission
Oh,
is coming.
hell.
Somebody call Caroline.
I think
I
that's
teach me how to knit.
crocheting and
I gotta-
not knitting.
She can
so.
knit too, right?
I got
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
she can
See, there
knit.
we go. Nice, excellent. Mostly it's okay.
mostly knits.
Knitting's
Sometimes
two
crochet.
needles, crocheting's one. Is that right? Do you, a hook?
A hook, okay.
It's
Something
a hook.
like that.
I have a story from
Oh boy.
from the place, my full-time job.
Which one?
I'm not gonna name where I work. It's a furniture store. Let's just call it the Municipality of Savings. So I
That's
was
awesome.
standing.
IKEA.
I was standing in an aisle, and I was standing
That's
next
not
to a sales associate. Okay, and
Allen
then
wrenches.
there were some chairs, and this lady, elderly lady, and I don't mind calling her that. She
She was
goes
old as
and
fuck.
she sits down in one chair, and she just shouts. I mean, to the public, which is just myself and the sales associate. This chair is hard. And then she gets up and sits in the next chair.
Goldilocks.
And she goes, and she looks out and she goes, where do you get these rugs? These are really pretty. And the sales associate next to me goes, well, those are handmade in Indonesia. And she goes, she turns to the sales associate and says, you ever made a rug? And he said, no. And she goes, you ever use a loop kit? And he goes, no. And she goes, I use a loop kit. I make Afghans. I made 18 Afghans since the start of the year. And then the sales associate just goes, so do you put the Afghans on a Afghanistan?
Oh.
I had to turn and walk away because my eyes were watering from how much I was laughing. I was like, this really happened and live in front of me. Like, you hear it as I tell it. But I was right there as it was said. And I guess she had to be there.
That was still pretty damn good.
Guess she had to be there.
Pretty good.
Did you hear my Baker Mayfield joke? That's for
Yes.
next podcast.
Oh my God.
Is it
So
the next
is it-
podcast or the previous podcast?
I'm going to
Yes.
do
Or
that
did it
joke.
actually make its way into
I'm
the
going to
podcast?
do that joke
I-
until the blue
That's
and
a
yellow.
judgment call when I'm sober.
Win. I'm just saying. That joke will be around so the blue and yellow can wave their flag in victory. So,
Hell yeah.
Anyway, Gnome, truly appreciate all the help and all the inspiration and all of the content you put out locally for the Cincinnati craft beer community. And, thank you so much for being so open and so welcome and so helpful.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
It really means a lot. And thank you, really.
You guys don't have to clap for me. I the same way that you guys don't exist without Cincinnati Craft Beer Podcast. I don't exist without people that are making beer, people that are drinking beer. I'm just a drunk with a microphone. Like, that's
Word.
100% all
Same
that I
here.
am.
Word
I
up.
just drink a lot, and then
Word.
sometimes I talk loudly about the things that I'm drinking.
And
Yeah.
truth, beer, and
Like,
consequences. And
we
craft
all
parenting pod.
exist because of each other.
Yes.
And that's it.
Okay.
Well,
Without
if
each
someone
other,
if
none
someone
of this
needs
exists.
some of Gnome Creative Services, something created,
Yes.
Yes.
Let's tie it in a
plug
bow.
everything
Yeah,
that you have.
If you need any kind of photography, if you listen to this and you have a small business, maybe you don't have somebody on staff to crank out some content for your social media or whatever it may be, like, just call me. We can make this happen. We can create some stuff. It's important. It's extremely important in today's world. This guy is sitting across the empty space of between the aisle.
We'll say
I don't know.
table.
This
There's
guy right
technically
here.
a table,
Like, that's
yeah.
all he does. Like, he just creates content for his business. There are so many businesses that don't have that person, and I am that person for those people.
And do you want them to go to gnomecreative.com for
Go to
that
gnomecreative.com and you can contact there, or anywhere. If you listen to this and you know the Gnarly Gnome and you're more comfortable talking to me in that venue, just shoot me a message and we'll make it happen.
And in all of the Truth Beer Pod notes, show notes in our podcast, we do link to your Twitter, Instagram,
Much
and to gnomecreative.com.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you created our intro, outro, our stinger rejoin, and truly appreciate that as well.
and we want to pay you to make a quick image for our YouTube page banner because the ratio, the aspect ratio, I can't make it work, and I know that I'm not that dumb, but my God.
We can make it happen.
Oh, she's done. So
We'll talk business.
Yes, and thank you again. BC's Bottle Lodge is going to close in 35 minutes, and all of us need at least one more beer. So we're going to call this to a close.
How many more blocks are left in the freezer?
Too many.
Truth Beer and Consequences
Too many.
Live .5 is coming to an end, and thank you everyone for your listenership. Thank you for your presence and participation, and we will see you next week.